Good day, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Welcome to another episode of Jamaica Magazine. In this episode, we look at climate change and domestic violence. The connection? Both affect people, and if not managed or prevented, the effects can be long-term, detrimental and irreparable. On a lighter note, later we'll go buzzing with the bees and learn how we can protect them while protecting ourselves in protecting honeybees from fogging and spraying. So, let's get to it. Up next, news you can use.
Chikungunya is a viral infection transmitted when an Aedes aegypti mosquito bites an infected person and then bites someone else. Symptoms include high fever, headache, joint pain, muscle pain, and rash. If you suspect that you've been infected, take paracetamol such as Panadol, Cetamol, and Tylenol. Infants, children under 5 years old, pregnant women, the elderly, persons with sickle cell, and chronic illnesses such as diabetes and cardiovascular disease are at risk for more severe symptoms and must see a doctor for proper evaluation and monitoring. Fortunately, most cases of CHIKV are mild, but if your symptoms worsen, you need to see a doctor. For more info, call 1-888-1-LOVE from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That number again, 1-888-663-5683.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, October 22. The Sangster International Airport is to get a thermal scanning machine to detect persons with increased body temperatures as part of plans to heighten Jamaica's response to Ebola. Private sector company Sagicor donated $4.3 million to the Ministry of National Security to buy the machine, which will be installed at the airport in the next 8 weeks.
This machine will go a significant way in supporting the immigration and health officials who are working very hard to protect our borders and to prevent Ebola from being introduced to our shores.
We really need 5 of these machines for our 2 major airports and our 3 major seaports where tens of thousands of tourists on cruise ships come off. So I'm appealing to the business community to step up and to make a contribution to this effort too.
The thermal scanning machine, which is designed for mass screening, uses infrared technology to scan persons for fever as they walk past a special camera. Once these persons are detected, health workers would conduct further screening for Ebola and other diseases. Meanwhile, the National Security Minister told Parliament on Tuesday that his ministry would be taking a number of steps to strengthen border security as part of government's Ebola response program.
It is important to understand that responding to an outbreak of a serious infectious disease, such as Ebola, does not only require the medical care component, but also requires a serious logistics capability to plan, implement, and coordinate the provision of facilities, supplies, personnel, and services for the operation.
The JDF is to help to establish quick response teams to be based at Upper Camp and to support the public education and partner engagement activities of the Ministry of Health. The Coast Guard and the Marine Police, meanwhile, will be increasing surveillance of our maritime space. And PICA is enforcing the recently announced travel ban on persons coming from countries designated by the WHO as worst affected by the Ebola outbreak. Tourism and Entertainment Minister Dr. Wickham McNeil was also in Gordon House Tuesday as Parliament passed the Timeshare Vacations Bill. Timeshare involves shared use and/or ownership of vacation real estate where each party has dedicated timeframes for use of the property. Minister McNeil, who piloted the legislation, said adding this model to Jamaica's tourism industry would deliver several benefits.
1, a reduction in the seasonality experienced in the accommodation sector. 2, improvement in the quality of tourism accommodation as timeshare offerings tend to be high-end. 3, maintaining increased occupancy levels as timeshare guests are usually repeat visitors. And 4, attracting some of the world's most celebrated hospitality brands that are involved in timeshare.
Under the new law, agents of proprietors of timeshare plans need to be licensed, timeshare plans are to be registered, and the information provided to purchasers must be standardized before any timeshare contract is signed. It also provides for a withdrawal period to purchasers after entry into timeshare contracts and covers the general management of timeshare plans. Education Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites says moving forward, the objective of his ministry is for schools to become centers of wellness.
Centers of human concern. We have to become places where the cleanliness of our school plant is a major consideration. No center where disease can incubate anywhere on a school property.
Minister Thwaites was speaking with students and staff of the Vere Technical High School in Clarendon on Tuesday. The visit was organized to offer consolation following the recent deaths of 2 teachers and a student due to complications from the chikungunya virus. And finally, the Ministry of Health has launched a mental health handbook and directory of services that's aimed at strengthening services and interventions to improve the care for persons with mental disorders. The ministry has also received 1,500 posters on mental health matters from PAHO and WHO representatives. Portfolio Minister Dr. Fenton Ferguson says mental health is an area where the ministry continues to maintain important partnerships to improve care.
I view and accept that there can be no good health without mental health.
And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
Hi, I'm Shauna Helps, Women's Girls School National Junior Sprinter. By now, you should know about the Tablets in School pilot project, in which students and teachers in 38 schools across Jamaica are provided with tablet computers by the government. This message is for those students who will benefit. Remember that the main purpose of the tablets is for improving education. Be conscious of your environment. Don't show off by using it on the road, while walking, or on the bus. Wait until you are at home or in a safe place. And do not use it when you are eating or drinking. Food and liquid on your device will ruin your chance of enjoying the most from it. Students, if you take care of your tablet, it will take care of you.
These insects are responsible for 30% of the food we eat, but our own activities and factors such as climate change affect their pollination activities. In the next feature, we learn how to balance our own protective measures while protecting our food supply.
Spraying and fogging has formed a significant part of the government's efforts to control the Anopheles mosquito, which transmits the life-threatening disease malaria. Recognizing that the chemical being used to eradicate the Anopheles mosquito is hazardous to the honeybees, the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands has recommended that beekeepers take special precautions in the management of their beehive during the period of fogging. According to Senior Apiculture Officer in the Ministry, Hugh Smith, the chemical can affect the honeybees at all stages, including eggs, larvae, prepupae, and adults. By nightfall, all foraging honeybees would have entered their hives, and this provides a good opportunity to apply a number of safeguard measures from the effects of spraying or fogging. These include listening to announcements and checking for information from the Ministry of Health via the electronic and print media as to when and where spraying will be conducted. Beekeepers should also contact and inform neighboring beekeepers of the procedures.
Beekeepers will be asked to take at least 1 or 2 hive bodies and place on their hives. These hive bodies would be empty hive bodies. They would first lift the hive cover and place the hive body on top. After putting the empty hive body on, they would cover back their hive. This provides the honeybee with additional airspace and also provides a cooler environment for the honeybee during the period in which their hive entrances would be closed. Now, the beekeeper should not just stop at the point of adding hive bodies. They should just coming down to dark when all their honeybees are in. So they should have clean water, damp the newspaper and fold it according to the size of the hive entrances. Now, in some instances, the beekeeper may have to turn his bottom board to accommodate the blocking process. So he would wait until all his honeybees are in from the field, and he would block the hive entrance.
The addition of the damp newspaper or cloth provides added moisture to the hive and will help to reduce the buildup of hive temperature during the time when the hives will be secured.
The blocking of the entrance and the addition of extra hive bodies should take place probably 40 to 50 minutes prior to the spraying for the mosquito control. This provides the beekeeper with additional time after spraying to monitor their beehives with the blocks on.
Blocks should not remain at hive entrances in excess of 6 or 7 hours, since the young bees inside the hive could suffer severe damage.
At that time, after spraying, the beekeeper should timely remove their entrance block and add a few mists of water, clean water, water that has not been contaminated from any chemical source, into the beehive. This would provide the beehive with more moisture and allow the bees to remain cooler in their beehive.
4 to 5 mists of clean water can also be sprayed at each hive entrance after spray or fog has diffused and the entrance blocks are removed. 2 to 4 hours after removing entrance blocks, farmers should check for the removal of dead bees from hives by observing outgoing bees which may carry dead bees or larvae and release them on the ground close to the hive entrance. If a large quantity of dead bees or bee larvae are observed, the bee farmer should reduce the hive entrance to prevent robbing. Beehives can be relocated. However, it may not be practical in some cases because of the financial cost. Other measures the senior apiculture officer says could be taken prior to spraying include covering the beehives with black plastic sheeting for a few hours. Covering the hives with black plastic sheeting will reduce the chemical impact on the bees, but will cause a buildup of heat if exposed to the sun.
In the absence of black plastic, beekeepers can use damp cloth to cover their beehives during the spraying operation.
Bee farmers must be aware of the fact that beehives that have their entrances blocked and those that are covered for extended period may not survive since the airflow is restricted. Hence, they must follow guidelines for carrying out these precautionary measures. In the meantime, all unregistered beekeepers must notify the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands Bodles Research Station on the exact location of their apiaries in order to help the ministry to provide accurate information to the Ministry of Health during its mosquito control efforts. Information can be sent to the Chief Plant Protection Officer, Apiculture Unit, Bodles Research Station, Old Harbour PO, St. Catherine, or call 983-2226, 983-2267, or 983-2281. For additional information on the dates and locations of spraying, you may contact your Ministry of Health Parish Office as listed in the telephone directory.
Climate change causes high temperatures, rising sea levels and increased intensity of storms, among other things. These are some of the concerns the government is tackling through Strategic Priority Number 6, Environmental and Climate Change Resilience. Learn how now.
We're all aware that environmental and climate change resilience is a strategic priority of government. If we do not protect our natural environment while boosting our capacity and tailoring our lifestyle to deal with changes in the environment, our plans for economic prosperity will be limited to just that, a plan. And so the government has been working on a raft of measures to deal with extended changes in weather patterns, or simply put, climate change. It's all being coordinated by the Climate Change Division in the Ministry of Water, Land, Environment and Climate Change. In June 2014, government received and installed 2 automatic weather stations to enhance climate data collection by the Meteorological Services of Jamaica. The acquisition supports the strategy to achieve climate change resilience and comes courtesy of government's participation in the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center 5Cs project. Funded by the European Union, the project coordinates the region's management and adaptation to climate change. The automatic weather stations have since been installed in Manchester, one in New Forest and the other at the Sugar Industry Research Institute.
That has improved our capacity to collect climate data electronically. So we minimize the element of human error that sometimes goes along with manually reading, for example, rain gauge and stuff like that. So information can be downloaded from this equipment and then uploaded on computer at the head office of the Met Services of Jamaica.
There's another component to the 5Cs project that government is actively pursuing: data storage. By the end of December 2014, Jamaica should benefit from the development of a climate change data node.
It is a sort of database of climate information. So we will be developing our capacity to store data electronically, climate change data that is. And this we are getting help to do from this project. It involves us acquiring software. It involves us acquiring licenses. It involves us acquiring additional bandwidth. It involves some level of equipment as well too.
Through this upcoming database for climate change, government will be able to store and analyze information to guide policies and programs. Think about it. Information on the climate is needed for long-term planning. Based on that data, technocrats can come up with projections over a period of time. So if there's a projection for below average rainfall over the next 10 years, for example, stakeholders can plan to expand water storage facilities. That's one way of being resilient to drought, which is sometimes due to climate change.
There's also support to get help or expertise to convert handwritten climate information or data into an electronic format. And already computers have been acquired to facilitate this process, and we anticipate that in short order we'll be having persons employed to actually do the actual work of converting manual or handwritten data into data in electronic format.
Under the 5Cs project, government also continues to work on a climate change vulnerability assessment and an adaptation strategy and action plan for the fisheries sector.
That is something that we're anticipating we'll get support for, to the tune of just around $150,000 US. There are some challenges at the moment in terms of the implementation time, but we are anticipating that with approval forthcoming for extension of the project, the 5Cs will be able to assist us in acquiring the technical expertise to carry out the development of the strategy and action plan, as well as the vulnerability assessment.
The 5Cs project was originally scheduled to end in December 2014, but discussions are ongoing for it to be extended until June 2015. As government acts on strategic priority number 6, the administration is looking to extend a pilot program for climate change resilience. Discussions are ongoing with the Climate Investment Fund.
We have already gotten funding as a country for phase 1, just over $500,000 US for phase 1, and that helped us to prepare a number of documents. For example, the State of the Climate report for 2012. That was financed from that project.
Under Phase 2, which is being discussed with the Inter-American Development Bank, the plan is for Jamaica to integrate climate change considerations into a number of priority sectors like health, agriculture, and tourism.
We need to develop a strategy as to how we can make these sectors more resilient to the impacts of climate change. So this particular project is going to help us to develop sector strategies outlining how and what we need to do to minimize the anticipated impacts, negative impacts of climate change.
Let's put it in context. If a beach is being eroded, tourists will no longer have an area of white sand to relax. Added to that, the infrastructure of a hotel might be threatened. But if various stakeholders take beach erosion into account while carrying out different activities, it will help to minimize the impact of climate change. The government of Jamaica, implementing feasible plans to adapt to climate change, achieving strategic priority number 6, environmental and climate change resilience.
The JIS will be having its first poster competition. And guess what? It's all about our heritage. The theme, We Are Free. All secondary level students are eligible to compete, and the posters can either be digitally designed or illustrated. The rules are simple. First, complete an entry form online from the JIS website. Posters will be judged on your interpretation of the topic, originality, neatness, and presentation. Digital posters should include only the images from a collection accessible on the JIS website. Posters should be no longer than 11 inches by 17 inches. All digital posters should be submitted electronically through a cloud storage service such as Dropbox, SkyDrive, or Google Drive, while illustrations must be taken into the head office or Montego Bay office. Posters should be submitted by Friday, October 31, 2014. Please ensure that you keep a copy of your poster after submission. Yes, there are going to be prizes and surprises for the top 3 students and the top participants. Just in case you need more details to be part of the fun, call JIS at 926-359024, extension 2137, or email heritageposter@jis.gov.jm. Don't delay, get started on your poster now.
Disagreements and arguments are common features of human interaction. That's why it isn't uncommon to find that conflicts pop up from time to time when parenting a child. But as with the old saying, when elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. Children are impacted when their parents have disputes. However, there are things you can do to limit the impact of conflict on our children.
The first duty, I think, is that the parent should try not to harm the child as collateral damage. Because I think in a lot of situations, the parent doesn't intend to harm the child, but is either so emotionally engaged in the issue at hand or is so unaware that they may say or do things that are not suitable for the children to be involved in. We have had situations where a parent may have gone to school and made a comment about a child, like you're the worst picnic the Lord ever make. But then the child now gets teased by every other child in their class. They get disrespected by the people there. So I think a lot of times when we're expressing, we're not thinking about the effects. So I think awareness is the first thing I would say to parents. Second thing I'm saying to parents, the world is not really judging you every day for you to pass or fail a test in parenting. Most people empathize with the fact that parenting is a complicated job for which most of us are not equipped. So be gentle on yourself, and by being gentle on yourself, then maybe you would find more space to be more accommodating of the children. It's important to practice what we preach, because we will lose the respect and confidence of our children, because they come to us respectful, and they come to us having confidence in us. But we can lose that by the way we handle situations, as well as the way we handle them. I think it's a commitment to, create loving families, handle stresses by going to professionals to assist, take issues that the children are not involved in into a space where they don't have to hear and see all of the conduct that's really not appropriate for them.
So parents, try your best to maintain an atmosphere of love and compassion within the home. Even if there are problems, resolve them peacefully. Do not take out your frustration on the children. And whatever the situation, let them know that mommy and daddy will have differences, but both of you will always be there to support them. Remember, children's care and protection, a FIWI mission.
What sound does a long A make? A, A, A. What sound does a long A make? A, A, A.
And now we take a further look at how the biggest victims of domestic violence are the smallest ones, the children. Children need a safe and secure environment, violence-free, with parents that love and protect them. A sense of routine and stability is important at home so that when things go wrong on the outside, there's a safe haven, a place of comfort, help, and support. For many of our children, it is the reverse. Their safe haven is the outside, the unknown. And why? Because these children are the forgotten victims of violence in the home. The United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF report, Behind Closed Doors, the Impact of Domestic Violence on Children, states that children who grow up in violent homes are more likely to be victims of child abuse. Those who are not direct victims have some of the same behavioral and psychological problems as children who are themselves physically abused. The children may have difficulty learning and limited social skills, exhibit violent, risky, or delinquent behavior, or suffer from depression or severe anxiety. Children in the earliest years of life are particularly vulnerable. Studies show that domestic violence is more prevalent in homes with younger children than homes with older children. Several studies also reveal that children who witness domestic violence are more likely to be affected by violence as adults, either as victims or perpetrators. It is never too late to reverse the clock, to create that nurturing and supportive environment, to create that place called home for your children. So, start today. Take the first step by contacting the Coalition for Better Parenting at 948-1886 or the Child Development Agency at 948-6678 or 948-284122.
Finger-licking jerk chicken, Helcher fish and bami, will run down yam and banana, roast breadfruit, sweet potato pudding. Jamaica food sweet. So let's make a pledge to use more local produce and less foreign goods. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
The JIS is your place to stay up to date for all things Jamaican, so continue to stay in touch with us through our Facebook and Twitter pages, website and YouTube channel. I'm Adrian Atkinson. On behalf of the hardworking production team here at the JIS, remember that the ache for home lives in all of us, the safe place where we can go as we are and not be questioned. So says the late Maya Angelou.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.